So, I spent 5 days at a Temple Forest Monastery in New Hampshire as like a meditation retreat with Buddhist monks, and I'll tell you all about that. But before I do, it's time for your favorite part of the day, the thing that makes everything better. It's your personal namaste, your dopamine hit of the day, the simultaneous sigh. All you have to do is take a deep breath in and exhale in simultaneity with me. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Did you feel that? What is going on with my eye? Oh man, do I look tired? Had a late drive last night. So, Temple Forest Monastery. I, about 3 weeks ago, hopefully this airplane isn't so loud, there's an airport nearby. About 3 weeks ago, I spent the better part of a week, 5 days, at Temple Forest Monastery. It's in Temple, New Hampshire. It's a forest monastery, part of the extension of the school of Buddhism, I guess, of Ajahn Shan, who had these Thai forest monasteries in Thailand, and Ajahn Sumedho is now kind of the top monk in this school of Buddhism, and they picked out, there is a forest monastery somewhere by San Francisco, and this one is more recent on the East Coast, just happens to be in a town called Temple, New Hampshire. They have a website, I believe it's templeforestmonastery.com, but if you Google it, you can find it, and they accept visitors. So it is a full-fledged Buddhist monastery, and the rules for how to visit are right there on their website. Please do check out the website, and I will comment after this video goes up. I meant to put it in the description how to donate if you want to support those monks. So I am going to share, let's see, hope this works, some photos about my trip that I can go through here. So this is what I found on the wall in my room, taped up by the guest monk. Is, how do I navigate here? Temple Forest Monastery. So here are the rules that you follow when you're there. You have to follow the 8 precepts. They expect you to while you're there. You formally take the 8 precepts. So here they are. 1, to refrain from taking the life of any living creature. 2, to refrain from taking that which is not given. 3, to refrain from any kind of sexual activity. 4, to refrain from false and harmful speech. 5, to refrain from consuming intoxicating drink or drugs which lead to carelessness. 6, to refrain from eating at inappropriate times after midday. 7, to refrain from entertainment, beautification, and adornment, such as music, makeup, jewelry. 8, to refrain from sleeping on high or luxurious sleeping place, or not to overindulge in sleep. Here are some additional expectations here. Please refrain from using electronic devices while staying at the monastery. The unscheduled time in the afternoon, we'll get to the schedule. The unscheduled time in the afternoon is for practice. Please refrain from falling into long conversations with other guests. Try to make use time for meditation. In order to help prepare with practice, don't take food in the afternoon. There's allowable tonics. We'll get into all that. And then little little information about how to take care of the room they give you, which looks like this. So it's a pretty Spartan bed. This is my sleeping bag, my little camping pillow. Some of my clothes are in that shelf there, and there's a little coat rack, and that's it. Just a small little room. Took a few more photos of it. They gave me a lamp. Very nice of them. And then I snapped a few photos before I left, and I'll show you all of those. But first, let's pull up the photo of, it's a beautiful property, beautiful. So, where is the photo of the schedule? Did I forget to include it? Okay, I guess I'll be working from memory on the schedule, which is fine. I'll pull myself back up large here. Actually, that's kind of nice. So that's me meditating on that rock right there. Okay, so I arrived late Monday afternoon. They prefer if you arrive earlier in the day. 10 a.m. probably is ideal, but I did a lot of traveling, and I went to the grocery store on my way there, just before arriving, to make a donation of dana. So the monks follow a lot of additional precepts. You saw, I think 3 that I just went over was, don't take anything that isn't given to you, and that applies to the monks as well. So the monks can't take anything. Everything has to be literally and sometimes very ritualistically given to them. So they don't work. Everything's their livelihood comes from donations. They are there to embody the Dhamma, the teaching of the Buddha, the tradition. They're kind of like the priest class of Buddhism, if you will, and they live with a lot of insecurity because they do rely on donations for their livelihood, for their sustenance, their well-being. So all the food that comes their way is a donation. So I want to make sure, since they don't have any requirements for you to pay or contribute outside of following the schedule. We'll get into all of that. But since I was going to stay for about 1 week, I wanted to make sure that they had food while I was there, so I brought some food with me. And they have a list up on their website. Dana is the word for their charitable gifts in their tradition. So I brought a nice Dana with me, and it's in a. So then I went from the grocery store, drove over there. First, so I had visited once. I heard about this place, this forest monastery, from a friend, and I visited once for a Dhamma talk. Dhamma is the teaching, the Buddha's teaching. So a Dhamma talk, a Buddhist theological talk, sort of. There once from Ajahn Sumedho, who is the most senior monk in this tradition, let's say. Those videos I might go into in this channel. I'm debating that. That's not a promise. I know I haven't been very active lately, but I have a lot of ideas for things I want to do. But don't worry, I've been getting very deep into my own personal meditative practice in the meantime. I have not been, just because you don't see me going live doesn't mean I'm not following through in my own meditative practice. So those Dhamma videos of Ajahn Sumedho are up on the Temple Forest website, and you're more than welcome to explore that and listen. I might come back and add a handful of links either in the top comment or in the description. So come back to this video if you're watching live, and those should be there. Some where resources are about the organization, about the monastery. Um, so I had visited and I saw one of those Dhamma Talks live. Within the last year, I forget exactly when it was. He was visiting. Ajahn Sumedho was visiting the U.S. and was staying at the monastery, the Temple Forest Monastery. So it is in the town Temple, New Hampshire. It is not a temple monastery. It is in Temple, New Hampshire. Although temples are a thing in Buddhism, that's not why it's called a Temple Forest Monastery. It is a forest monastery. It is the forest monastery in Temple, New Hampshire. And it's in a nice, I think it's adjacent to a forest, some kind of wildlife preserve, and they do have a nice acreage there. And let me pull this up. So the grounds are quite beautiful. So I show up around 3 p.m. and everything's over on Monday. So on Monday and Tuesday, it's actually, those are their rest days. So there weren't many monks around. And you pull in and you see this. This is a quote from Ajahn Sumedho. It's like this. It's just kind of like a very simple, it's become a bit of a mantra or something there. It's like this. Whatever you're experiencing, you can always just tell yourself, sometimes it's like this. Yes, it is like this. It is also like this. So it's a very simple, like, distillation of kind of like a Buddhist ethos, or I suppose. Whatever your experience is, yes, it is like this from time to time. And so over here to the right, you kind of drive in, and actually the road goes down behind the camera this way and back around. It's a really nice property. And then there's the main building, which is here. It's called the Sala. That is the kitchen straight ahead, and there's a meditation room. So I arrived, I knew, all right, so I contacted the guest monk via the form on the website and asked for permission to stay during the time period I wanted. They said they don't have availability then, and gave me an alternative time. That window also worked. So it was the last week of June. And I showed up. I got my room set. I took this photo right after I set up my room. So this is basically at the beginning of my stay, pretty much, when I took that photo. And then it was Monday, wasn't a work day, it was the afternoon. So the schedule. So let me pull up the Sala building. So how the schedule works. So you're expected basically to live as they do and follow their schedule a bit, right? So you agree to the 8 precepts, and you're there like to do Buddhism, right? You're not you're there to work on your meditative practice and to engage in their ecology of practices, so to speak, their tradition, and that's what the expectation is. Now, there was no or not much of a kind of, it's your own reverence for their expectations, and they're hosting you, and that sort of xenia, the ancient Greek idea, or what would it be? Grace or hospitality. Those kinds of rules are what are governing you, that their expectations. There's no monk's going to come out, or maybe they would, but, when I deviated from the expected behavior a little bit, no one was there to like yell at me or scold me or guilt me, shame me, or anything like that. You know, it's not a cult, and they understand that lay people visiting. I mean, that's kind of what it's about, right? Like they're there to embody the tradition, but if there aren't people coming in to experience, participate, learn, and engage in the practice, there's no community that's the kind of the religious aspect. There's no community for them to share it with. It defeats some of the purpose. So they are there for you to come and practice with them. So I get set up. It was Monday evening. There's tea time every day from 5 p.m. to 6:30. So within a few hours of, I explored a little bit, and then I went to tea time. Every day after noon, the final meal is from 11 to noon, and then you're not supposed to eat anything in the afternoon, the evening, and your next meal is at 7 a.m. So your final meal of the day is from 11 to noon, and then you're only permitted tonics. So the Buddha specified, basically these are non-food items, but it's like medicine, but it's a lot more inclusive than our expectation would be as Westerners, like butter, dark chocolate, tea, coffee, like sweets, like kind of like mints and stuff are allowed. Medicine, vitamins, and like certain drinks and stuff. They have to be non-food items is essentially the idea. So I went to tea time, and this is the time period where I gained most of my understanding. Every day at tea time was the opportunity. That is the time designated for congregation and discussion and stuff like that. So I learned the most. I only interacted with monks in very narrow circumstances and for brief interactions, and I'll tell you about all of them. But what I learned the most from the other lay people who were staying or visiting, or there were two gentlemen who were working towards becoming monks themselves, who were basically permanent residents of the monastery and were working towards advancing on the path to monkhood, essentially. And they were very informed about Buddhism, and so we engaged in a lot of theological discussions, but I'm just scratching the surface. I don't know much at all. One nice thing is a lot of the Buddhist centers or meditation centers, properties at the monastery, they have free publications. There's a lot of. If you hold on 1 second, I will go and grab some. So, oops. Here are some of the things that I took for free. This is encouraged, I didn't do anything, I didn't steal, I didn't violate one of the precepts by taking that which wasn't given. These were out for free distribution. So they have these really nice short little introductory booklets, And these are written by like very experienced monks. This one, An Introduction to Insight Meditation. If you can, this is intended to be a free publication by Ajahn Sasito. I'm very bad with the names. If I'm not already familiar with the pronunciation of a word and it's a little bit foreign to me, I'm hopeless. You guys already know that from all the Greek stuff that I've tried to. This by Ajahn Sumedho. Oh, that's interesting. So the whole silhouette here is Ajahn Sumedho, and I suppose this is actually really nice artwork. Huh. Gratitude. Wow, I didn't really spend a lot of time looking at this until now. So this is a silhouette of Ajahn Sumedho, and this is Ajahn Chah, the Thai gentleman here. And then obviously this is, the laying Buddha. And I suppose this might be his parents. That might be him as a baby, and he's, this is gratitude towards his parents, I think, yeah. This whole book is about gratitude to parents. That's really nice. I look forward to reading this. I haven't read it yet. Gratitude to parents, gratitude to teachers, gratitude to the Buddha. Very nice artwork. And then, so there's these... Oh, here's Susito, Ajahn Susito. Unseating the Inner Tyrant. This was particularly relevant for me. I'll read you the first paragraph. Do you ever find yourself dominated by a chain of thought that tells you that you're not good enough, that you don't deserve much, and that other people look down on you or tolerate you out of politeness? Do you find yourself snagging on memories of things you did wrong, or relationships that you didn't get right? Do you feel that you have to be a success in life like you think someone else is, and are constantly critical of yourself? This piece of psychology is called the inner tyrant. Probably sounds familiar to Jordan Peterson fans. The good news is that it's not just you who has this, and that you can get free of its grip. And the key to this is through establishing and continually re-establishing right intent. And then it goes on to talk about right intent. And it's like a little booklet, right? These are free. Also available via ebook. There's a publishing house for free distribution. And then this one, The Four Noble Truths, again, Ajahn Sumedho. This one was really highly recommended by those individuals who I spent my time at the lay people I spent my time at the monastery with. And I took a lot of books, you know me and books, so those are just the small ones that I took, and then I have a nice little stack of proper books, which is really nice that they do that. So tea time, that's when a lot of my first tea time, I got to know everyone, told them a little bit about what brought me to the monastery, and talked, and it was really, really nice to get to know. I was blessed to have the privilege of having incredible individuals staying alongside me at the monastery. We had phenomenal conversation. I feel like I have a bond of brotherhood with these men, mostly men. There were some women too, and sisterhood with those women who are also great. With the people who stayed there, have a really close bond, and it was just meaningful, right? We were very in touch with what was meaningful, being that we were steeped in this meditative practice, which is what? Mindful before meaning, that's what it's all about, right? To have mindfulness, attune our minds, orient us towards what is most meaningful and to give us clarity and eliminate distractions from what is most meaningful so we can be present, have and develop the wisdom to appreciate them and be grateful for them and really savor that which is most meaningful in our lives. And certainly happened with the conversation I've had with these incredible individuals while I was there. I think maybe I'll have to break out into a whole different conversation about what I learned about Buddhism, because that's a whole nother can of worms, right? Hours and hours of deep discussion with these individuals. Now I want to stay focused on just the experience of staying at the monastery. So stay tuned and look forward to what I learned while I was there. So, tea time the first evening, and I knew that I had some early mornings ahead of myself, so I tried to get to sleep early because I set my alarm for 4:15 a.m. the following morning, got up, had a little bit of a morning routine before the morning puja. So the puja is the meditation. They have 2 a day. The first one has no official start time. You can kind of mosey on in and get settled. But it starts at this. This was kind of a reoccurring theme at the monastery. It's like, well, there's no rule, but the rule is, sort of a thing. Like the guideline is it starts at 5 a.m. It doesn't have an official start time, but basically starts at 5 a.m. Then it goes to 6, and there's chanting at the end, 6 a.m. And then after that is a morning chore period. So the morning puja is just sitting meditation, silent meditation in this room. Let me pop back over to the photos. Stand by. Where'd it go? Here we go. So it's in this building, the sala, over here on the right side. This is kind of a private monk area, but in that back corner, that's the one that's farthest away from us, back here, that is where this room is, that I will show you momentarily. And so this is the main meditation area of the Temple Forest Monastery for now. So everything I'm showing you is subject to change because they do have a plan to develop the monastery and build a whole bunch of buildings. It's going to be fantastic. I didn't take any pictures, but when you go to visit, you can look through. They have a little booklet out on a nice little display to show what the plan is for the monastery. So it's this old kind of barn, timber-framed building. Beautiful aesthetic there. And then here's my little selfie. That's me meditating in the middle, facing the camera, which you never... I don't know if I broke some kind of Buddhist rule by sitting with my back to the little Buddha that they have right here. But that's kind of like the little shrine that they have, sort of a thing in the corner. And we all face that. And it's kind of hierarchical with the monks. They sit like in clockwise from top monk on down the line. And then the head monks, he has some kind of formal title. Again, I'm bad with the formal titles. So you'll see over here is a photo of Ajahn Chah, who kind of founded the school, over here on the left. And then there's another photo on the table of him on the left, and then Ajahn Sumedho on the right. And in between is the Buddha. And so this is the main meditation room in the sala there. And I took all of these photos just before leaving, so on my final day, like that morning, I became just like a day visitor. So some of the rules were kind of lightened up a bit, and I was able to use electronic device. And so you show up here in this room. It's a little bit dark. They slowly raise the. They have these nice studio lights. Everything kind of is. It's really nice. Like everything, there was this like. Obviously, this place was kind of coordinated by meditators. There's this really nice, deliberate, intentional consideration for how everything was kind of put together. Like, I think that some of that comes from communal living, like done right. Is like you get a lot of minds together to solve problems and to think about solutions, and sometimes that bears fruit. So you'd go in, grab your meditation cushion. Depending on what time you're showing up, there's some amount of people there. If you're early, could be first, and everyone just kind of shows up, and you sit for an hour. That first morning I did pretty well, just did a 1 hour long silent meditation that ends with chanting. Sometimes they did the chanting in English, sometimes they did it in Pali. I believe the language is Pali. Which was cool. It's kind of very monotone chanting. There's like little rising tone or falling tone. The Buddha, the Sangha, the Dhamma, the Buddha who revealed the Dhamma, anyway. And so after the morning puja, there's the morning chore period. So they ring a bell, I believe, and we all gather in like just the front little area. Or sorry, by we all, I mean, I don't know what the monks are doing, but one monk, the morning chore monk, that's one of his work responsibilities, is to assign all of the lay people their morning chores, comes and he gives us all tasks. And it was very nice, and some people were preparing breakfast, so we were all doing chores. Some of the people's chore was to prepare breakfast. I did a lot of working with the gravel road. It was a very rainy week. There was a lot of rain and thunderstorms. Some very nice weather too. It kind of worked out really perfectly. But you see how there's these. Oh, am I on the right? Am I showing? Nope, I'm not showing you. Here we go. If you can see here that gravel road. A lot of it over here, for example, actually this is exactly what I did for my first morning chore. This right here, all of this sand had washed out down here to the left. So I raked and shoveled that back in the appropriate spots for my morning chore. That's what I did until breakfast was ready. And then there's breakfast. Now, someone offers the food for the monks to the monks. So I did it one day, not at this meal, but you basically lift and give it to the monks because they can't take anything. So they have to receive it from you. They can't take it. And they're very pure and ritualistic about it, following it to the letter. So someone has to hand a monk each individual dish. So then we would go out. So the monks get to collect the food first, and then they go and sit, and we sit down, and they sit in that meditation room to eat. And then we go to tables and chairs, like in the tea room or downstairs in the basement. There's more tables and chairs and stuff. And then we would eat, and then we would all clean up together. so there's a few different like tiers of monks. I don't know what their terms are, but there's like white robe monks who have to follow, let's say, 50 or 60 precepts, and then after they do that for a pretty long period of time, then they can come up and become like full-fledged monks, who follow like 128 precepts, something like that, around 130 precepts. Um, for example, one of them is you can't cover your curry with rice. So basically, you imagine monks having these little bowls to receive offerings, and at some point, a monk covered what food he had with rice, so it looked like he had only rice in order to kind of solicit more, and that wasn't allowed. So that's basically like at some point someone complained, and then a rule was made, and now all the monks have to follow the rule. Is essentially how a lot of them go, which is something I learned during a tea time talk conversation. So then, after breakfast, on Wednesday through Sunday is a work period after breakfast until the final meal at 11. And you have a little time in between to kind of like wash up or wrap up your work. And they basically maintain the property during that period. Lay people, they take advantage of lay people not having to follow as many of the Buddhist precepts, like so we can cut the lawn and trim trees and dig and stuff like that, where the monks wouldn't want to accidentally kill something, a bug or something like that. So the lay people do some of the monks work, during the work period. That was the thing that Ajahn Chah had his monks work. But I think it's mostly like kind of keeping the forest at bay, like preserving the grounds and stuff like that. And it's kind of nice. So you meditated, you ate, and then you work. And it's kind of, a lot of times you're doing meditative work. You're not necessarily doing it in the most productive way. And for the lay people, you kind of just do what the work monk tells you to do. And then after that, you've worked out quite an appetite, I found. And then we all gather together, and lunch is made, and I think they ring a bell. We all come in for lunch. And now there's not a lot of meat, so it was very good. It was like Thai food. A lot of the Thai people, the local Thai people, Buddhists, in the area, they take pretty good care of the monks. Thankfully, by donating. At least it seemed like there was bountiful donations at the time I was there, and good food, a lot of rice dishes, a lot of Thai dishes, a lot of fruit and yogurt and grains and stuff like that. But there's really good. It was like buffet style, so the monks would come in. Yeah, again, hierarchical. The monks would come in order of their rank, essentially their seniority, essentially get food, and then the people who are staying long term would go, and then the day visitors who are joining us for the meal would go, in that order. And that's cool. So we would eat, and then after the final meal, from noon until 7 p.m., you have free time for your meditative practice. You can do whatever you want. I mean, as long as you're following the precepts and stuff. But, the time is for the purpose. You're there for a reason, to engage in the practices. So I think I was, very excited to explore the property. It was a little bit rainy. The whole time the ground was wet, and there were really marshy areas. But I walked around the property. To find, so down, let's see, this is kind of to the left of the sala. There's this big stone down in the field, that's me on top. But downhill from here, there's a pond. This is where I stayed. Yeah, see, if you look down here, the pond is kind of down this hill to the left here. So I went down there and walked around. They have trails on the property for you to do walking meditation, and I did some exploring, and it was really funny, you know, to me. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Because I was walking around the outskirts of the pond on a little trail. So you could just see in this photo the pond's down there. So there's the grass is mostly left high. There's actually a bird species that was all over the place that make nests in the high grass. So they leave the grass high, and I think they cut it like once a year or something like that after the birds are. I don't know what the birds do, but maybe they migrate. So there's the pond. So I walked. There's a big over to the left. There's a big nice trail, nice winding trails all over the property. Really thoughtfully done. I mean, that's kind of what it's all about at the forest part of this monastery tradition. And I was walking down, and I started to walk into the woods, and I thought to myself, like, it would be really nice if there's a place to meditate right here in the woods. Like, I was like, I'm going to walk into the woods and sit on a rock and meditate. That's what I'm doing during my free time. And I walk into the woods, and I look, and there is a meditation platform validating my instinct. The monks had already set up a meditation area there. So there was a walking path, some stones, like just a linear little one-way path, walk down, turn around, walk back for walking meditation, and a nice wooden platform, like a Boy Scout camp type of thing that the canvas tents would be on, just a wooden platform, raised wooden, a little mini deck of sorts, and there was a plastic bin. And I kind of caught on, like, okay, I see what you're doing here, monks. I walk over, open this bin, and there was a pad, a meditation cushion, and this little pop-up screen tent thing, this pop-up. And so, I hadn't talked to anyone about this at this point, and I'm kind of assumed it was free for me to use. I wasn't in a private area that was exclusive to monks, so I just set up this little pop-up so I wouldn't be bothered by mosquitoes, which I couldn't kill. You had to just brush them off you. And I did a good job. I didn't unwittingly. I didn't kill anything. Even right away, I was when I first arrived. I was talking to I forget not a white robe monk, Anagaria, I believe they're called. And a bug was up, and I just gently brushed it instead of swatting it. My instinct is just to kill typically. I never killed anything while I was there that I know of, not intentionally. So it's nice that they have this screen, and if you remember, I was thinking I have a video on this channel where I say peaceful meditator gets eaten alive by mosquitoes, some kind of clickbait title. Sorry about that, by the way, but gotta play the game a little bit here and there. And I want one of these screens because I want to be able to meditate outside and not have to worry about mosquitoes, so it's pretty great. There, of course, it was all like one purposefully built and designed and branded for meditation, but it's just a simple little screen shelter thing. So I set that up, set up my cushion, and I meditated right there, overlooking the pond, and the birds were chirping, lots of birds and wildlife. And on one of my mornings, doing my walk around the fields, I saw a porcupine, adolescent porcupine, small, cute porcupine, a fawn, and I saw a turkey carcass. Some kind of predatory animal got a turkey, tore it up. So there's some wildlife activity on the property, and so there I was thinking, wow, it would be really nice to have one of these screens, and then getting into my meditation. I think during this week I got deeper into my mindfulness meditation than I ever had before. These monks really know how to meditate. the monks lead by example and really set the tone for a deep stillness, quietness. It was a great, great opportunity. I'm truly grateful for the opportunity to stay with the monks and to get to experience the monastery the way that I did. And so I know I'm kind of telling you a long version of the story. So that was my first day. And every day kind of looks something like that. That's that general schedule. Sometimes I did drift into long conversation during my free time. And, I was kind of gave myself some grace, and there was a lot of meditating, guaranteed 2 times a day. So after your free period, there's tea time, like I said, from 5 to 6:30, and then there's the evening meditation from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. So basically, you're meditating during sunrise and sunset. So this is a photo looking from, so basically, I took all these photos. I wanted to take this photo of me sitting on this rock, and I basically just snapped photos walking to and from this just before I left on my last day. So I had a little tripod and a timer, and there's this rock out here. It says Temple Forest Monastery, the year, and the parent organization, or the Buddhist term for the tradition, starts with a J. I forget it, embarrassingly enough. And that's carved into that rock there. And here we go. What does it say here? Jetavana. So that's me on this rock. This is where I saw the porcupine. The porcupine lives under this rock here. So that's the dorm building. The sala's right back here, and then there's a trail that comes out here. And this is what those trails looked like. Just low-cut grass. Really nice. I walked around mostly barefoot. I walked around mostly barefoot. Sorry, I had a little... I don't know if you guys saw that. Just had some windows pop up. It was a beautiful day the last day. A little bit hot during the day. So this is the dorm. This is on my walk back up. So this is basically facing away from the trailhead. And this is the dorm building. I just want to show you kind of how beautiful the grounds are. So the trail is behind me in this photo. So I got back up to the top of the hill. There's a little barn here. They've got a lot of hand tools and work equipment to take care of the property. This was the front door. My room was facing out the back of the building. And this was, I just turned to the left and took a photo down towards the pond. They had these tents set up because they were getting ready on Sunday. So this is the front of the dorm building, getting ready on Sunday for an ordination ceremony where monks were going to be moving up. They're leveling up, so to speak. And there was it's an older property, so there's some run down kind of barn buildings and stuff like that. Now they do have plans for big improvements to their property, but this was just a little weird shack thing. They might have had a lawnmower or something in there. Again, I showed you these. This is the sala, this is the main meditation room. And then that's me. I just sat down quick. There's a monk actually over here and kind of looking at me as they took that photo. Yep, that's the front door of the sala. So this is the view that I saw every day walking, for the morning sitting meditation. The nice Thai woman's on her way out who had brought food. And then, so if you go from here and you look to the right, this is what you'd see. And then up, see this nice sweeping trail over here that goes up to this, they call it the meeting house. There's a secondary really nice meditation building. There's a little Buddha statue under a little thing. This is a temporary canopy that was just set up for their ceremony that they're doing. More photos of that, what I just described. And then the meeting house is back there. Yeah, I just looked to my left while I was walking up. There's one of the dirt trails goes back to a little utility. Then I turned around and took a photo back. The sola's over here, the dorm's here, and here's that barn. So, and that's that rock where that little, it's like this inscription is, and a car just happened to be leaving. And then turned around from there, took a photo again of the, just sat, so they have the bell, oh yeah, the bell's over here on the left, and then there's the Buddha statue, and I just sat real quick to pose for the photo. It's a beautiful day, and then back there is that meeting house. My tripod knob got in the way here. Here is that Buddha statue, the outdoor Buddha statue. Sorry, I'm outside. Sorry about all the noise in the background. So, there is like this little kind of sacred space that they have. Lined with these white rocks and these big boulders. One of my tasks for a work period was to go down and pull all of the weeds out of this white rock border and to cut all of the things, cut with scissors anything that was growing over onto it. Not the most efficient way to do that job, but surely was a good opportunity to meditate. And then this is just passing that stone wall, so the meeting house is, I'm walking to the meeting house and just looking back and taking a few photos. And then this is to the left, and that's the corner of the meeting house here to the right. And this is inside that building they call the meeting house, which is a nice meditation room. It's open 24/7 for visitors to meditate in. Theoretically, I think the monks want to know if you plan on visiting, but theoretically you can just show up, park your car, walk over to this room, sit and meditate. So that's the little Buddha shrine that they have. I really like the rustic timber frame aesthetic of their buildings. I think they're doing a great job. I hope the new builds that they do does keep that. So these are probably old New Hampshire barns that these monks are taking really good care of. The thick walls, those deeply set windows, really, really nice. And nice wooden floors, wide, long boards for the floors. And that's it. Those are all the photos that I took. And so, thunderstorms, rainy. Excuse me, 1 second. Sorry, my throat got a little dry there. The second morning, Punja, the sitting meditation, I needed to do some yoga or some stretching beforehand. I was sitting on a meditation cushion, but the way I slept or whatever, not sleeping in a higher luxurious sleeping place, my hamstrings were tight, so my back was I had to actually strain, use my muscles to just stay on the floor on the cushion in a seated meditation, and it was tough. It wasn't exactly the most pleasant seated meditation. There's a little timer off in the distance, and I watched every single minute tick by, and I just sat there, and it was in discomfort for an hour. That was the worst meditation that I had there. Everything else was pretty good. Now, I didn't really I really need to be in present. I was very forgiving. My mind would wander. My mind was noisy and cloudy, and I just said, okay, this is what my meditation sounds like, feels like. That's fine. And even still, being in that fully immersive environment on that rigorous schedule and with other people were solely engaging in their practice, and in that disciplined, austere setting, had high quality meditations, really supercharged my meditation practice. Kind of a bit of a dopamine reset, no screens, no work, no stimuli, no drugs, no sexual activity, no YouTube, anything. So it was a very good reset. Just got to be out there in the monastery with the monks, in the forest, focus on meditation and in the Buddhist tradition. Really, really great experience. I started to adjust. First couple of days, just really tired, just adjusting that sleep schedule. Started to just got into it. When you don't have anything to like keep you up, I mean, like no distractions, it's pretty easy. It's kind of like camping. It was really good. I love camping. Definitely want to go back. I think there's a few things in my my life that I need to get sorted out and work on, and once those are resolved, I think I'll go back. Maybe for a longer stay next time. And yeah, so I left on that last day. I talked to a few monks. Oh yeah, so every day after the evening sit, so monks have off on Monday and Tuesday, and there's no work period. So one monk will show up to do the puja for the lay people that are there, to do to just sit with them, to kind of guide them in the chanting and all of that. But then all the monks are there throughout the rest of the week. On Saturdays is probably the best day to show up to visit for a day, because they are in their normal schedule and have a Dhamma talk after the evening puja, so from 8 to 10 or 8 till 9 p.m., which sounds late when you're on that schedule. I was exhausted after the evening puja, like I think maybe the latest I ever went to sleep there was 10, and that was a bad idea. 9:30. And it's kind of like getting in tune. It's a good way to reset your circadian rhythm. I think it was an overall very healthy experience. Now, I'm not sure if Buddhism is the most compelling, myth and narrative, mythos, religio, ecology of practices is not the most compelling one I've ever come across, but I think that for the average person, if they came from wherever they are and they came a long pull towards Buddhism, that would be an improvement, if you catch what I'm saying. I'm not going to go into all theological things that I learned, or all the Buddhist ideas, the mythos, the practices, the Dhamma. In this video, it's already long enough, almost an hour now. But yeah, that was my experience. Very good. Very grateful for the friendships that I made. So after the evening puja every day, when the monks every Wednesday through Sunday, a monk will stick around, and usually a more senior monk, to answer questions. So you get to sit down and have a talk. There might be a specific term for this. And just talk to them about whatever is on your mind, things getting in the way of your practice, questions about your practice, theological questions, ways that you're trying to release yourself from suffering, or whatever, anything, They're pretty approachable, pretty conversational. Yeah. So I did talk to a monk only once, unfortunately, for that. And then I had, you just talk to a monk whenever you come across one. The morning, I really, really liked the morning chore monk. Was really, all the monks were awesome. Any interaction I had with a monk, I was like, wow, this is a great person. And definitely dedicated to a little bit of a concern. I'm like, am I pulling things into their domain of consideration that they'd rather not have to think about sort of like that kind of I want to make sure I have reverence to their practice. And so I had, due respect when interacting with them. But the morning chore monk, I really enjoyed my conversations with him, and he was really interested in Neoplatonism, and he actually made a recommendation to me, someone I'll have to look up. I think I wrote it down somewhere. And I asked him, like, hey, do you want to like write letters back and forth? Do you want a correspondence? And he very politely explained himself and why he was declining, and said, anytime that I come to the monastery, you'd be happy to talk to me. But he is being intentional about not having those kinds of connections with the outside world. He's in monk mode. Gotta respect it. Okay, thank you for listening to my story. Let me know if you have any questions. I will definitely respond to all comments, questions, concern, anything in the comments. Please do. Check out the Temple Forest Monastery, their websites, their materials. I'll add something in the comments after this. But thanks for listening, and I will be coming back. I have a lot of video ideas and projects and discussions to have on this channel, so please do stay subscribed. Subscribe if you aren't already, and thanks.